Now, free speech, the cornerstone of any democracy, is under siege in the United Kingdom. A warning from a senior government advisor, Dame Sara Khan, has brought the issue into sharp focus in a report highlighting the disturbing trend of what she calls freedom-restricting harassment. Dame Sara paints a troubling picture of a society where individuals, from teachers to journalists, are facing the threat of rape, death and abuse simply for expressing their views. Consider the case of the teacher in Batley in West Yorkshire, forced into hiding after using a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. This incident is just one among many illustrating the dangerous climate of censorship and intolerance gripping our nation. The report comes amidst heightened concerns for politicians' safety, particularly in the light of escalating abuse over contentious issues like the Israel-Hamas conflict. MPs are now being provided with bodyguards for protection. But it's not just politicians facing the brunt of this onslaught. Activists, journalists and religious figures are also in the crosshairs. A moderate imam, for example, required 18 months of police protection for his beliefs and received death threats for trying to combat hate crime. And these are not isolated incidents. They represent a broader pattern of harassment and intimidation aimed at silencing dissenting voices. 76% of respondents in a commission poll admitted refraining from expressing their views in public out of fear of harassment. And in a survey released today, more than two-thirds of elite British sportswomen said they would be uncomfortable with transgender women competing in female categories in their sport. But many have expressed fears over sharing their opinions publicly because of concerns they would be seen as discriminatory, with one saying, "Your career is over if you speak on the subject." The situation is urgent. Our fundamental rights to freedom of speech is under threat, and action must be taken to safeguard it. As Dame Sara rightly warns, there's a growing and dangerous climate of harassment and censorship in our society. It's a threat not just to our ability to speak freely, but to our very way of life.
Because if we don't do something about this growing phenomenon, and let me be very clear, from our polling, 60% of the public think this has got worse in the last 5 years. If we don't do something about this, I'm afraid we will see an erosion of these precious democratic rights and freedoms of our country. That is something that we cannot tolerate. This is what marks us out as different to authoritarian countries, for example, our plural democracy, the right to free speech.
There it is. Do you agree with this assessment that our free speech is under threat?